Every day is a great day to delete blood cancer with DKMS. My name's Trey and I'm here with DKMS, the world's largest stem cell donor organization. Today, we meet David, who registered through Camp Kesem as he was a student studying at the University of Michigan. He then went on to not only donate, but to actually make a career in helping people.
Hi, my name is David and I'm a DKMS donor. I registered to become a donor while I was a student at University of Michigan. I was a sophomore and I was a member of a student organization there called Camp Kesem. It's a camp that puts on a free summer. It's led by students at the university, and they put on 2 weeks of free summer camp for children whose families have been affected by cancer, either their parents or their guardian. And we had partnered with DKMS. And it was actually my sister and I who ran the drive and had organized it. So she organized it one year, I organized it the next year. And we registered, I think the year I did it, I had registered something like 50 to 60 people. And of course, myself being one of them, registered either that year or the year prior. And that's when I joined the registry myself. I was relatively knowledgeable. I was, at that point, like I said, I was an undergrad. I had started doing research in a cancer lab that actually focuses on graft versus host disease, which is the most common complication from bone marrow transplant. So I had had an interest in bone marrow transplantation before we had started doing the partnership with DKMS and before we started registering people, but I wasn't all that knowledgeable about what actually went into becoming a registrant or what actually went into doing a bone marrow transplantation. My focus was relatively superficial and more so just on doing very basic research in the lab context. So some exposure, but not a lot. Yeah, so my career has actually been very much connected to bone marrow transplant, and I may be an uncommon donor for that reason. When I found out that I was a match, I was again working in my lab, and I finished my PhD in this lab, and this was in my third year working there, doing research that is related to improving patients' immune reconstitution following getting a bone marrow transplant. So when people get a bone marrow transplant and their entire hematopoietic system and their blood-derived cells are weakened by the pre-treatment for getting the bone marrow transplant, and then it takes them months to years to actually recover from the bone marrow transplant, they're very vulnerable to things like opportunistic infections while their immune system is weak. And my PhD work was focused on improving that immune cell recovery so that patients who get bone marrow transplant can have a better shot at defending themselves against getting these infections after they get their bone marrow transplant. So I just received the call that, hey, they had called me a couple times and I hadn't picked up because it was an unknown number. And we all get so many spam calls. And then I finally checked my voicemail a couple days later, and it was saying, hey, we're DKMS calling you from New York, saying that you may be a potential match. And I was very excited to get that call, and I obviously reached right back out immediately, and the process began. So between getting the call and actually doing that, I think I went to go to a nearby LabCorp to get 2 blood draws a couple months apart, just to confirm that I was the right HLA match, to confirm that I didn't have anything that would put the patient at risk if they were to receive blood products from me. Then that was just so easy. DKMS was basically set up all the appointments for me and just told me when, where to be, and it was easy to do. And then leading up to it, because my situation, the patient that was receiving my bone marrow, their age and their condition made it such that it was best to give them direct bone marrow instead of peripheral blood. I didn't have any of the SF, the filgastrum. Pros and cons to that, of course. So there's always 2 ways to donate your bone marrow, either the peripheral blood or doing the direct aspiration. So for me, it was the direct bone marrow aspiration from 2 sites in the back of my hip. I went under anesthesia. First of all, I think the only medications I was taking up leading to it was just some iron for around 3 weeks, just to make sure that my blood levels were as healthy and as high as possible. So that was easy. Then for the actual operation, and I put operation in quotes because it's really such a minor one, was put under general anesthesia, and I had met with the hematologist oncologist a couple of times prior to that, and I think I was general anesthesia for, I don't think it was more than an hour, and the recovery was a little bit painful, admittedly. It was a couple days of being quite sore, but nothing that made me, for even a moment, question, was this worth it? Felt proud for having done it. Felt relieved that it was over. I just wanted to, I think the first thing I asked when I woke up from anesthesia was, did they get what they needed for the patient? They said yes, and that was it. You don't know anything after that for a really long time. So I felt proud for having been a part of this person's care, and that they got what they needed from me. And truthfully, I then went about my life, and it was something that I thought about often over that next year, but there was no way to know anything more. So I just, it was just something that I was like, well, I hope that's going well. They were, for what I'm able to discuss, they were a pediatric patient, and their parents did reach out to me and express meaningful gratitude and things that made me feel really proud and really happy for them. Just, really happy for them and their family. As far as I know, the patient is still doing well. Not met. We've exchanged emails with their family, have each expressed a desire to meet at some point. I want most is for this person to go about being a kid and not really think about, me. I got everything I needed, knowing that I played a very meaningful part in this person's care, and that they hopefully receiving curative therapy, because that is really the beauty of a bone marrow transplant. Not a whole lot of that we can do in medicine that we can truly say are curative. We can treat a whole lot of things, but to cure something is really special. So to know that I was a part of this for this person, all I'll ever need. And I just want them to go about being a normal kid. It's a tremendous gift that I can give to another person. Chosen to be a part of this field because I find so much that's meaningful about it. I think, like I just talked about, you can be somebody's cure. That is something that is not common, and that is something that is truly beautiful. And for us to, one, be able to cure something, and for it, two, to come from somebody else, that is really about as special as you can ask for in medicine and in life. You are by a booth, and they are swabbing, and you should know that this tiny action by you that will take 60 seconds to swab yourself and to fill out a form, then be a part of a registry, and the probability of being selected from that registry is incredibly low. But should you be selected, it's a tremendous honor. And the burden that it asks from you is small in comparison to what you could possibly give. If you go through the process where you're doing a peripheral blood bone marrow donation, you take a medication that makes you feel pretty crummy for a few days, and then they basically do a blood draw from you, and then you go back to your life as normal. If you are doing an operation and need to do the direct bone marrow aspiration as I did, then you don't need to take that medication. You need to go under general anesthesia, and you're going to have a really sore back for to 7 days. And about it. And then that's the beauty of bone marrow. It grows back. You're not giving anything that you won't regrow yourself, because you have healthy marrow and somebody out there doesn't. Somebody out there has cancer, or somebody out there has bone marrow that's failing them. You will recover from whatever donation is done, because you are that lucky person with the healthy bone marrow. So I would just think of it as we're part of something that is can save somebody's life. And it's a beautiful act of giving. You can be the cure for somebody, and that is just, more can you really ask for?
It's donors just like David who give hope to patients in need. We hope you'll consider joining the DKMS families by registering to be a stem cell donor today. My name's Trey, and remember, every day is a great day to save lives with DKMS.